After the horrors of the Holocaust, the world promised to never again allow the senseless murder of Jews, and now people around the globe, they're standing up to the pure evil of Hamas.
Here now with why supporting Israel at this time is so important, Rabbi Shmuley Boteach. Rabbi Shmuley, great to see you. It is, if you were silent, you were accepting the unacceptable. That was what my parents always taught me.
Elie Wiesel, the world's most famous Holocaust survivor, famously said, the opposite of love is not hatred. The opposite of love is indifference. Now let's take it a step further. What about if people who don't even know the difference between right and wrong? It's not that they're indifferent, it's that they're clueless. They have no moral compass. We have American congresswomen, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, who are openly siding with Hamas. And even the national American media, from the New York Times to CNN, CBS, NBC, they won't even call Hamas terrorists. Now think about that. This man over here, who killed 3,000 Americans, incinerated them, just 3 miles from here on 9/11, 2001, was he a militant or a monster? Was he a soldier or a savage? Was he a belligerent or barbarian? If you cannot call this man a terrorist, then you have no sense of right and wrong. So the language, and look at the way they're saying, 1,200 Jews were slaughtered in Holocaust-level extinction for a day on Saturday and Sunday. And now they're saying that Israel's engaging in retribution? You mean stopping terrorists from killing more Jews as a form of revenge? Jewish life is becoming so worthless. It's very painful.
You know, you talked about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. She's left us dumbfounded when she refused to condemn the murder of Jewish babies by Hamas. I want you to listen to this and I want you to respond.
Terrorists have cut off babies' heads and burned children alive. Do you support Israel's rights to defend themselves against this brutality?
We're just going to go through here.
You can't comment about Hamas terrorists chopping off babies' heads? And why do you have a Palestinian flag outside your office if you do not condone what Hamas terrorists have done to Israel?
When asked here, she was silent, but now she's saying her critics are the hateful ones, saying, quote, I do not support the targeting and killing of civilians, whether in Israel or Palestine. The fact that some have suggested otherwise is offensive and rooted in bigoted assumptions about my faith and ethnicity. Rabbi, how would you respond to Rashida Tlaib?
She hides behind her ethnicity, but there's a universal morality that Muslims, Jews, and Christians, and atheists and agnostics all live by, and that is that life is precious and that murder is a sin. Rashida Tlaib is an American abomination. She won an election seat. I truly hope that her constituents will rise up and evict her because she is a disgrace to Islam, which is a great world religion, but she's a disgrace to American values. If she really believes in Hamas, let her go to Gaza right now and try to express an opinion against Hamas. She, God forbid, would lose her life, which nobody wants. We want to keep her safe. Let her say one good word about an LGBTQ Palestinian who have to flee to Israel rather than have their genitals cut off, being decapitated. If you cannot condemn the decapitation of 30 infants at a kibbutz, then evil has no meaning. And I'll tell you something else. I love when people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar speak about how religious these the Hamas members are. Do religious men take a half-naked, unconscious woman in her undergarments and parade her body around with such necrophiliac prurience? These are fiends. The savagery, it's very difficult to contain, but to hear it in the halls of Congress is something that would make the founders of our nation, who came to establish liberty and freedom, turn over in their graves.
On Capitol Hill, police arrested at least 300 activists Wednesday as they held a non-violent sit-in protest in the Cannon House office building to demand lawmakers press for a ceasefire in Gaza. The arrest came as thousands of people rallied on the National Mall for a demonstration organized by the groups If Not Now and Jewish Voice for Peace. Organizers called it the largest ever protest of Jews in support of Palestinians. Among those who spoke was the only Palestinian-American Congress member, Rashida Tlaib.
I wish all the Palestinian people would see this. I wish they can see that not all of America want them to die. That they are not disposable. They have a right to live. They didn't ask to be born in occupation. And so I just want to thank you on the bottom of my heart. The dehumanization has chipped at my soul, and I can't imagine what it's made so many other people feel. So you all being here to speak truth, because the warmongers are out, y'all. They are ready. They want to kill and not stop. It's pure insanity. I still remember the cry of Maya, who's being dragged out of that festival, crying for her father. But just like poor Shama in Gaza, who is #1 in her scores. I don't know if you know anything about Palestinian culture, but it's a big deal that somebody from Gaza could score #1 on her. You know, it's like the valedictorian for the whole Palestinian people. And both of them are victims. They're victims of the oppression, of the violence. They both deserve to live. I don't care what their faith is or their ethnicity. Maya didn't deserve to be targeted. Neither did Shaman deserve to die. And that's the common humanity that we all have to remember, because they're trying to take it away from us.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure it doesn't happen. Not on our watch. I'm going to be real with you all. My colleagues, many of them, I usually don't talk smack about them. No, I'm usually considerate because I don't like them policing me, so I don't police them. But as an American, not just as a member of the United States Congress, I am ashamed. I am ashamed that they're saying, not yet, maybe next week. Not yet, Rashida. Maybe in a couple of days. How many more have to die?
That was the only Palestinian-American Congressmember, Rashida Tlaib, addressing Wednesday's historic Jewish-led protest of thousands in Washington.
As we've been talking about, some progressive Democrats rushing to blame Israel for the hospital explosion that killed 500 Gazan citizens. Let's bring in Life, Liberty, and Levin with host Mark Levin. Great to have you here, sir. May I just put up on the screen? Immediately after this explosion, she said Israel just bombed the Baptist hospital, killing 500 Palestinians, doctors, children, patients, just like that. POTUS, this is what happens when you refuse to facilitate a ceasefire and help de-escalate. Your war and destruction only approach has opened my eyes and many Palestinian Americans and Muslim Americans like me. We will remember where you stood. And I don't believe, Mark, that she has taken that back, even given the evidence that we have this morning.
Well, glad to see you. Glad to be here. The Democrat Party has a problem, and it's affecting the entirety of the United States. They have a Hamas wing in the Democrat Party. Tlaib is one of them, but there's more than one. They call themselves Democratic Socialists. They had a massive rally, or whatever they call it, about a week ago, with all the anti-Semites and Jew haters, and I might add America haters are the same ones. And people need to understand, she is the result, as are many of these others, of a 30, 40-year effort by Hamas and their various terrorist surrogates to infiltrate our college campuses through Students for Justice in Palestine. We know this from the Holy Land Foundation litigation. CARE is another organization that has worked closely with the Democrat Party and previously with the FBI and the Obama administration. She is the consequence of these things. She is heralded all across the Middle East by not just Palestinians, but the most radical terrorists in the Middle East, and she's proud of it. And so she serves here not as a supporter of the United States, which she hates, but as a supporter of these various movements in the Middle East. And then when she comes under attack, she pulls her race card and also then takes a few steps back, because that's what they're taught. And in that meeting in Philadelphia, where Hamas decided and their funders decided they have an influence in the educational system and media system and the political system in the United States, that's what they said. Don't be obvious supporters of who we are. Use propaganda, use techniques, come across as sort of soft, but we know that what you are and what you're doing is what we support.
Bubbling beneath the surface of the Democratic Party here in D.C. are some real resentments of fellow Democrats still blaming Israel for the hospital explosion, despite U.S. intelligence, classified and unclassified, suggesting that it was actually a misfired Palestinian rocket that did that damage. Pennsylvania Democratic Senator John Fetterman wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, quote, "It's truly disturbing that members of Congress rush to blame Israel for the hospital tragedy in Gaza. Who would take the word of a group that just massacred innocent Israeli civilians Over our key ally, innocent Israelis were the victims of a terrorist attack that resulted in the largest loss of Jewish lives since the Holocaust. Now we know that the tragedy at the Gaza hospital was not caused by Israel, unquote. Congressman Jared Moskowitz, Democrat of Florida, wrote, quote, "My Democratic colleagues who blamed Israel should take down their posts," unquote. Now, one of the congresswomen Moskowitz is referring to updated her post, noting that, quote, "The U.S. intelligence assessment is that this was not done by Israel." But the other, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, not only has she not updated her post, she took the stage to address protesters calling for a ceasefire in Washington, D.C. last night and issued a political threat to the President of the United States.
President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit true genocide and killing a vast majority just like this. And we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this.
And the congressman's tweet blaming Israel for what happened is still up. CNN's Jessica Dean joins me now. So, Jessica, Democrats have been very eager to highlight the embarrassing dysfunction of House Republicans when it comes to the speaker crisis. But these are some tensions that we're seeing among House Democrats on this issue of Israel and the Palestinians as well.
Yeah, you're seeing those fault lines. And I talked to several House Democrats today, and one of them told me, in their words, that her colleagues are furious.
Tlaib's colleagues?
Yes, that they're very frustrated, that it's not just public perception over this, that they think that these sorts of comments that go against U.S. intelligence are dangerous in a way by spreading that message. And they put it to me this way. They said, why is she believing Hamas's word over the U.S. intelligence agencies? And there is, I'm told, a push for her to sit for an intelligence briefing and see the intelligence herself, with the hope that that will inform some messaging going forward. I did ask if she has done that or if she had plans to do that to her office. I've not gotten a response from them. We also know that some of her colleagues have complained to the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, about this. I talked to another House Democrat that said, you know, they've really seen the House Democrats range from being outspoken on this. Debbie Wasserman Schultz told my colleague Annie Guerra that this is a vile position for the Congresswoman to take. Others are kind of trying to stand back, give her some room to perhaps walk this back, that it kind of ranges. But they said that Fetterman tweet that you just read in the lead in there, that sums up how a lot of House Democrats feel right now.
So I talked to a U.S. Senator who attended a classified briefing and said that the intelligence, the classified intelligence, makes it clear. There's no doubt that this was Palestinian Islamic Jihad, that it's very, very clear. But are Democrats afraid that if they call out Congresswoman Tlaib, that they will alienate and anger the progressive base of the Democratic Party that is far more critical of Israel?
Far more critical of Israel, and has been part of the Democratic coalition in winning these elections in the last several cycles, right? So they have been a critical part to the Democratic coalition. The sense that I'm getting from talking to people is there is frustration, though, bubbling. And what I'm interested to see is over the next day or two, if she continues to hold on to this, if people start to be more outspoken, if we hear from more of her colleagues on the record in a more outspoken way on this.
Very interesting. Jessica Dean, thank you so much.